One of the things that happens sort of silently to my young adult clients that are women is that they have they'll have a really skinny body type when they're growing up. Um, Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then all of a sudden they turn 14, 15 years old or sometimes a little older and their body type changes and their body just, when they're younger, their body hadn't filled in yet. And they had and or they had a really high metabolism. And what happens is that which is normal. Your body's supposed to change. So they may gain weight or their proportions or their body type changes. They might be more round. They're not petite anymore. And oftentimes by the time it changes, they kind of have become attached to having a certain body type. And maybe they pride themselves on it and they show off their body. And then all of a sudden, and they kind of focus on it, and that becomes part of their identity. They're like, I'm cute. That's what I look like. And maybe they've had people comment on it before on their body, like how good they look, or how do you do it? How do you look like that? And so, but it's hard because your body has a mind of its own. Um, so so it's not gonna do what you want it to do. But what happens is that once their body type changes, well, they don't like it. And they feel ashamed of themselves. So what happens is they feel all of a sudden and I hear a lot of this, they feel pressure to eat less, to work out more. They don't really know how to wrap their heads around having a body type that they don't like, and that doesn't get them attention or that people don't comment on or that they might not like the way they look anymore and they only like themselves at a certain weight. And so now they feel bad about themselves. So if they don't get their 11, 12-year-old body type back, they feel like they're unmotivated, they're lazy, they they don't know what they bring to the table anymore because maybe everything's been wrapped up in their looks. So, and oftentimes that they get depressed. And depression is basically just trying to change something that you can't change, that you don't see how to change. Um, and so I see this a lot. And now you're not a professional. I don't know, maybe you are, but the people listening, if you're a parent or an aunt or you're or maybe you are a professional, um, you know, if what you can do if they come to you, if you see this and you have the kind of relationship where you can talk to them, well, a couple things. First of all, if they come to you and you know that's what they're struggling with, just listen and be compassionate. Um, don't try to change their minds. Don't tell them they're perfect. They're just going to feel like you don't get it, like you're being dismissive or whatever. You're going to seem like somebody that's not listening, and they're gonna won't help them. Um, if you've struggled with your looks, with your weight, share your experience if they're interested and you're comfortable doing that. I think they would honestly rather see your humanity, and rather see that other people struggle with the same thing, no matter what they look like. Um, Remember that, confidence and self-worth doesn't depend on looks. The more you trust that yourself, the more faith, the more your faith will have a chance to influence them. So eventually they'll realize that for themselves. But you want to be able to see it for yourself and and not worry about how their confidence and self-esteem is hooked into their looks. It can look like that. That's not actually how it works. So one of the things you can do is highlight, focus on their qualities beyond their looks. The fact that they're genuine and down to earth, they care about people, that they have enthusiasm, um, that's bigger than life, that they do well under pressure. And you might have to look harder for those, but and you can't fake it because they know when you're not being sincere. But sometimes, talking them out of something that they are fixated on is not going to help them. But if you genuinely have appreciation for them in other areas in their life inside of them, that that can go a long way. Might not change them on the spot, but it goes in. So I know in the US, our culture values beauty and thinness. Um, so, and not just in women, but my guy clients, my young men that I work with, they struggle with the same thing. There's a lot of eating disorders in men, in young men. Um, so, young people and people, we do too. You get the message through a lot of channels in the media, maybe in school, in their friend group, maybe at home or in their family, that it's better to be attractive and it's better to be thin. So, and so far, every country, about half my clients are in the US, either half or outside the US. My young adults all over the world. Every country so far I've worked with, they struggle with the same thing. Um, but your personal culture as a parent or as a coach, as an aunt, as a loved one, can do a lot to neutralize or water down that effect. So, beauty is just one of the metrics, and you know, being physically fit or having the right proportions. That's just one of thousands of metrics that people can use to track themselves. Um, if you care more about who they are as a person on the inside, their interests in life, how they see life, what music they're into, um, the life, they start to pick up that the life inside of them um, matters more than, their appearance. But, you have to be able to see that for yourself. And you want to put your focus on that versus worrying about changing their mind or talking them out of that or helping them look better so that they can feel better. You want to get interested in what's happening inside of them because that's where all the goods are. And if it's hard to see it yourself, it's going to be hard for them to see it. It doesn't mean they're going to see it just because you see it, but it certainly helps. And that's a truth about life, that's the part that matters. And as far as I'm concerned, if it's a truth, it's a matter of time before they discover that themselves.